Welcome to the Prophecy Club. Today we're going to be talking with Jonathan Rose again, and we're going to be talking about gold and what is happening with gold and silver. Big things are going on out there right now. Who's Jonathan Rose? Well, first of all, he's a Christian. He's a friend of mine. He also has his own company. He's been in the metals business for some 30 years. 20 years, he's owned his own gold business. It's a Christian-based business. So, you're going to get treated right. And they love Prophecy Club, because when Prophecy Club people call in, they think that they've got to train the trainers. They have to educate them. And of course, the gold folks, Genesis Gold, are already pretty well informed. So when you call them, you want to make certain that you got all the information from them. So anyway, Jonathan Rose, welcome to the Prophecy Club.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for having me, Stan. Always a pleasure to be on with you.
Absolutely. And by the way, I want to publicly thank you. There have been several times that you have bailed us out of a financial jam. So thank you. Thank you. And I know that folks that want to support Prophecy Club, if you do your business, gold and silver and other things with these guys, it helps us. Okay. So first thing we want to talk about is what in the world is going on with the gold and silver. It is going up a lot. Is it going to continue or is it going to stop? Tell us what's going on.
I think we're in the middle of what I would call a mega bullish cycle for gold. And in fact, Stan, when I first heard your show, it was September 1997,
Wow.
early 1998. Gold back then was about $264 an ounce.
Right.
And today, we're looking at over $3,600 an ounce. So we can see how gold has pretty much gone parabolic over the past couple of decades, right? And it's continued to climb. And the question rises again, is this the ceiling, or is it going to continue to do what it's done every decade, which is steadily go up in value? And I think there's two factors you need to look at here. It's not a question if gold will continue to rise. It's more of a question of how much further will the dollar continue to fall, because there's a relation between an inverse relationship between the price of gold and the dollar falling. Now, we may not see it every day that the dollar's losing in value, because everything globally is still being settled trade-wise, like oil, in US dollars. But what we are seeing is a problem that I've been very vocal about, especially over the past 5 years, where I say debt does matter. We're now 36, going into $37 trillion into debt. Our debt is unsurmountable, and it's going to eventually crash the economy. You can't keep kicking the can down the road and expecting to kick that can without it one day stubbing your toe and you saying, ow, right? So what's happening? Well, we're seeing global instability. We're seeing the weakening of the US dollar, weakening of treasuries, weakening of the bond market. And when you're looking at an asset that's resilient and has an inverse relationship, that is the yellow metal gold. Central banks are still net buyers of gold, which means on their books, they're buying monstrous amounts of the yellow metal. And the reason being is because they're looking for safety, they're looking for security. And in a world
I think something big and bad is about to happen.
And it is about to happen. And the fiat currencies have lifespans and life cycles. And I think over history, we've seen over 80 different currencies crash and burn. And the US dollar is way past its best sell-by date. Right. So people are moving to higher ground. They're looking at gold as a hedge against absolutely everything out there in the financial markets. And if you ask me, do I think the price is going to continue to go up? Absolutely. I think we'll skyrocket past 4,000, 5,000. I think in the next 5 years, we'll probably see $6,000 to $8,000 an ounce for gold.
Well, there's a guy, as a matter of fact, there's two people. One person out there claims to be an expert. He says that the price of gold is heading to $10,000 an ounce. Another guy claims, he said, prove me. I know I'm right. It's heading to $20,000 an ounce. And I'm thinking, either he's crazy or he's got the reason to say that.
Yeah. So a little bit of background if your audience hasn't heard me talk to you before, but I grew up in London. I worked on the London Metal Exchange. I worked for Merrill Lynch. I worked for Morgan Stanley. I've seen these financial markets. I've consulted for very big banks, AIG, HSBC, and I've been very kind of ear to the railroads. I've kind of seeing what's happening in this financial sector. And I remember, in the early 2000s, I would hear people say $10,000 an ounce for gold. And back then it was a wild statement. And you're like, well, you know what? Those guys probably are right now. But the problem was they were about 15 years too early making those kind of, very outlandish comments, which people just, this guy's crazy, right? But today, when you hear those type of comments, they were probably a little bit ahead of their time. But yes, it's very justifiable now to say $4,000, $6,000, $10,000 an ounce for gold. It's a natural resource with a finite supply. There's a limited amount of gold in the world.
Let's turn it around, because if we think is the price of gold is going up, that's really a misnomer, because I heard one guy explain it this way. In the days of Abraham Lincoln, a 1 ounce gold coin would buy you a nice set of clothes. Today, a 1 ounce gold coin will buy you a nice set of clothes. I mean, a business suit. Okay. Well, so if we think of it, is the dollar going to fall or is the dollar going to rise? Because that's what we're really talking about. The price of gold historically doesn't change much, but what does change is the value of the dollar. So the question we prophecy students have to ask ourselves is, do you think the dollar is going to get stronger or weaker? In the light of the Genius Act and this heading toward digital currency, I can't see the dollar getting stronger. I can see it going down and doing so rapidly. Your comment?
Yeah. So yes, I do see the dollar weakening over time. What you're kind of describing is what we call inflation, where everything is becoming more expensive. Now, the problem with inflation, it's very insidious. You don't see it. It's like a little caterpillar on the leaf taking a bite, right? And the problem with inflation today is that everything's becoming more expensive. People's paychecks aren't going up, right? But the cost of living, gas, food, general day-to-day expenses, hardware, everything's becoming more expensive. So yes, we are seeing a rise in inflation, and this eventually, with the US national debt, is going to crush the US dollar. Now, smart people that understand this are moving to a higher ground, and that higher ground is safety and security. And you're right. If you went back in a time machine and we went back to 1933 and we had a 1 ounce gold coin and a $20 bill. In 1933, they were both worth the same, and they were both buy a man a brand new suit. Now, today, that 1 ounce gold coin that was worth $20 is now worth $3,600, probably more, because that's just the spot price, would still buy a man a brand new suit. Yet that $20 bill wouldn't even buy you a tie for your suit. So we can see historically and economically how over time, the value and purchasing power of the US dollar diminishes. This is a given. This is what we call a truism. But the value of gold, excuse the pun, it's been rock solid, right? And this is what makes it so attractive, not just to institutions and banks, but retail investors. Because in a world of uncertainty, people aren't traders. They're not watching the indices in the market, the S&P, the Dow Jones. We know there's a cluster of high-tech companies that control the market. Well, people who aren't shareholders in those high-tech markets, and they just want stability and they want something they can count on. One thing you can count on is gold. And I've always been a big proponent of holding gold. And I remember I was in Southeast Asia and I was hired by AIG. I don't think they have AIG in America. I think in America, they're like an insurance company, but in Europe and Southeast Asia, they're big brokerage companies like Edward Jones and Charles Schwab. And I remember being up on stage and I was talking to financial advisors about adding gold to people's portfolios. And someone in the audience back then, and this was in the early 2000s, said to me, what do you see the price of gold going? And I said, easily over $2,000 an ounce. And my cheeks went bright red, Stan. And they went bright red because everyone was laughing at me in the audience. This guy's 2,000. Who does he think he is? Get off the stage, right? Today, $3,600 an ounce. Again, my convictions of of owning gold. And I think my conviction as well comes back from my childhood, because even when I was a child, my grandfather used to give me a British sovereign gold coin for my birthday and every Christmas. I still have these coins, and I passed them on to my children. But when I started my career in the mid-90s, and I was with a company called Merrill Lynch and then Prudential-based securities on the London Metal Exchange, I actually worked on the base metals market, which was aluminum, copper, zinc, tin, and lead. Next to me was the precious metals market. And I always had a fascination with gold because I'd collect these gold coins. And I remember what solidified everything for me. It's like that moment in history.
Right.
Was one of the top traders in the UK, Barry Gersh, I'll never forget him. He always used to tell me, if you ever invest in gold, the safest way to do it, forget futures contracts, stocks. He said the safest way to do it is to physically hold on to it. And watching my little gold coins go up in value year after year, it reinforced in my belief that this commodity that comes from our earth as a natural resource that was obviously put here by God is real currency. It's honest currency. So again, having gold in your portfolio, to me, is something I will never not own, and it's something that my children will never be not own as well, and I will be passing on, my precious metals to them at some point in the future.
And compare that to silver.
Silver, where gold goes, silver follows. And for many years, I was very vocal about being a gold bug. It wasn't until a few years ago that probably switched, where my allocations changed, and I was probably a little bit heavier in silver, because silver is an industrial metal first and foremost. It's a smaller market than gold. But when you look at the silver market and you look at the demand for silver, it's outstripping the supply. New silver mines aren't popping up anytime soon. And when you look at society as a whole, electronics, we live in an age now where it's like the Jetsons. Everything's moving forward. We'll probably have self-flying cars here sooner rather than later. A lot of electronics are using silver components, military infrastructure, silver components, along with gold, but more so with silver. So silver is a very undervalued metal. There's a silver to gold ratio, very important to follow. When that axis crosses, that's a buy sign. So I think if you're owning gold, you want to be owning silver. If you can't afford gold as an entry level, then silver is less expensive. We've seen silver climb about 40% over the past year. There you have it, a beautiful silver coin, Queen Elizabeth on the back there. So whether you're holding on to silver or gold, I think they go hand in hand. And I'm a big Canadian maple leaf. It's a beautiful one, Stan. So I'm a big believer in holding on to silver as well.
Well, the way I would explain it is this: a gold coin might buy your freedom, and a silver coin might buy you a couple of meals.
Mm-hmm.
Silver, it takes a whole lot more of it to get you from point A to point B. Like, for example, I have a friend that travels around the world, and he will take a gold coin or two with him just as a precaution. Matter of fact, talking about that, we're talking about the prepper bars.
Yeah.
These are silver, but you can get them in gold. And the advantage here is, let's say you pull up someplace, and if these were in gold, each one of those would be worth $6,000 for each. This is 5 of them. But if those were gold, those would be about $5,000, $6,000 for each one. But silver, I don't know. Do you know the price off the top of your head?
Yeah, I mean, that's a prepper bar. So
Yeah.
you're looking at about 3 ounces of pure silver there. So they're probably a little over $200 for a prepper bar. And what's amazing about those prepper bars, I'm a big fan of them. They're divisible. You can break them off. I have one of those in my wallet too. So if you're in a pinch, it's the only divisible bar made in America. And you can see there.
You can break it apart.
Yeah, the top row, the smallest parts are 1/10 of an ounce. The middle part is a quarter, and then the lower part is it's a 1/10, quarter, and a 20th. So they're beautiful to look at. They have utility to them, and I think anytime you can match a product that has utility, it's always a win. And what I love about prepper bars, and like any precious metals, is how you can hold it, right? You know, whether you want to physically hold on to it, but people are beginning to realize there's actually an IRS loophole that lets you put these types of precious metals in retirement accounts. So whether you have an IRA, you have a 401k, TSP plan, you can roll those over and put precious metals now in your retirement account. Because a lot of people ask me, well, what's the best way to own metals? Because like I mentioned, my journey began with the London Metal Exchange, trading futures contracts, but I was a believer in having something tangible in my hand. So people still may say to me, well, I can buy gold stocks, mining stocks, but you're not really owning gold. You're investing in the ability for that company to mine gold or silver out of the ground. You're also investing who the management team is. So many variables, it's not owning gold. Then you have gold or silver spot ETFs, where you're buying a stock certificate that's tied to the price of silver and gold going up and down. Excuse me. And again, that's not physically owning the metal, that's owning a piece of paper. So if you really want diversification and you want wealth in your hand, if you don't hold it, you don't own it. So if you really want to hold that metal, the best way to do it is to physically, like you just held up those coins, the bars, and you can either, you know, have these coins or bars shipped directly to your house, which many of our clients do, and they, you know, put them in the ground, put them in the safe, safety depot, wherever you want to keep it safe. Or like I mentioned, which is a very popular right now because there's an IRS loophole that lets you roll over these IRAs, 401ks, tax-free and penalty-free. You can roll them right over and you put precious metals in there. The metals are held at a licensed depository. It's still an IRA. You still get your statements down. The only difference is you have physical metals that you can take anytime, distribution, sell them, and actually then have them delivered to your home. So that's the smart way.
Well, I showed the prepper bars. So before we get too far away from them, you can get these prepper bars by calling 844-771-1776. Grab your cell phone, type it in.
Actually, Stan, they can just call. I see the number behind you. They can probably even easier. 800-200-GOLD.
And get it through there.
Okay. 800-200-GOLD. 800-200-4653. If they're interested in prepper bars or learning how to protect themselves with precious metals
or gold and silver coins.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, I understand they also get platinum and rhodium and palladium.
I haven't had many people ask for rhodium lately. I can tell you that. Every now and again, you know, once a year, we'll have people ask for rhodium. I haven't even checked the prices on those, but yeah, gold, silver, the 1-2 punch, platinum, palladium are still popular, but obviously nothing's hitting the news headlines. Obviously, like gold and silver right now.
A couple of things I should point out on silver. My understanding is, perhaps you can confirm it, is that pretty much they haven't found any more silver mines. The silver they've found is the silver they've found. Now, Trump says he's looking for all kinds of metals in America, but I haven't heard that anybody found them. Second thing is they're now making 500,000 silver ion batteries for the Tesla cars, which is much better than the lithium ion batteries. It weighs a third less, holds a third more, lasts 5 to 7 times longer, does not burn, and I think it's going to replace lithium batteries. Okay, well, the problem is you got to have silver to make a silver battery. Where are they going to get that silver? So that's it. Just that one thing, in my opinion, is going to be throwing silver into, as Shane Warren was told, silver's going to skyrocket far more than gold. Now, let me give you a disclaimer. I'm not giving financial advice here. We're talking Bible prophecy and talking about how to get prepared for the future. But your comment, to me, gold is something that, you know, with a pocket full of gold, you can buy a car. With a pocket full of silver, you can feed your family for a couple of months. In other words, the difference in value, at least right now, is amazing. That matter of fact, I think silver was like $41 yesterday.
41.
3,600 some odd.
Yeah, it's funny. because we say, silver will buy you the bread, gold will buy you the bakery. So hearing your analogy is very similar to how we say it as well. So you're right. Silver is the day-to-day living expenses.
Okay, so the whole world falls apart. They've got some gold and silver. Is it going to be something quick and easy that they can get their money out of, or do they only have to send it back to you?
No, they can obviously, if you ever needed to use it, that's why you want it with you. Gold and silver is as liquid as the money in your bank. So as soon as they want to call us, picking up the phone, we will pick it up, ensure delivery, just the same way we delivered it. And we can turn it into cash, back into fiat money, and wire those funds directly into the account. Normally that happens more with IRAs when people take distributions. Normally people we ship metals to, I would say people don't often sell it unless they're in a financial pinch, and obviously, it rains, leaky roof, life happens, family member, it's there to liquidate, it's there to use. It's better than just keeping money in the bank, because you're going to keep money in the bank and the banks are paying you, 0.1% interest.
Yeah, really nothing.
Or you can keep it in gold and silver, and look at the price of gold and silver. It's up 40% last year. And that piece of metal sitting in your sock drawer, in your safe, has been doing nothing but appreciating. And in my opinion, that trend is your friend right now. And it's going to continue because the US dollar is drowning in debt. And as we continue to drown in debt and we kind of move to a digital era, the price of precious metals, in my opinion, is just going to continue to rise like it has done.
If they want to get some gold or silver, they call 800-200 gold or 800-200-4653. Is there a minimum of gold or silver, or a minimum purchase?
Minimum for purchase would be $5,000 for purchase of silver or gold. For IRAs, normally there's a minimum of about 15 to 20,000. And again, if they mention your name, Stan Johnson, and the Prophecy Club, any fees associated with an IRA setup, that will be waived. And also what I'll do today is the prepper bars that you held up on the screen, I will also, depending on account size, we will add a prepper bar or two to their accounts when they fund the IRAs, which would be just, because they're Prophecy Club listeners.
So that's in the ballpark of about a $300 bonus for calling today and getting your IRA or 401k moved into gold or silver. Am I saying that correct?
Correct.
That's a good deal. So your son or daughter comes to you and says, Dad, based upon everything you see coming, what's your best suggestion for me to do?
You know what? I'm glad you bring that up, because I've been trying to I have twins. They're 12 now. And I've been trying to teach them about finances. And sometimes it's like putting a round peg in a square hole. Sometimes they don't want to listen. Sometimes they do. But yes. But the interesting takeaway that my son has actually caught on, that he keeps bringing up, and my daughter too, isn't so much about investing as understanding, which they can't wrap their head around, is that the tax man, the IRS, the government, that they take your money. That's the biggest takeaway. You got to earn double because the tax man's going to take everything. So they're slowly sinking in about, economics and how the world works. But, when it comes to investing, they know, since, I've gone to their school, given speeches to the children on precious metals. I've let kids hold kilos of gold. I've given them all silver coins. I've had parents call me saying, so-and-so came home from school. Thank you so much, Mr. Rose. This was amazing. The kids loved this. So I'm always going to be a champion for gold and silver. I will always tell my kids to diversify and always have gold and silver in their portfolio. That will never change. And I know that the metals that I give them and pass on to them, hopefully they don't ever need to liquidate it and use it. But if they do, well, that's why it's there. Okay, it's a rainy day fund for them, right? But also it's something that I know isn't going to lose value. It's going to grow over time. So as they get older, who knows? Maybe they'll get into the gold and silver sector with good old dad. Well, time will tell, but it will definitely be something that they will be holding on to.
Did I detect that the 12-year-old twins, one boy, one girl?
Yes, one boy, one girl.
So you got both in the same package.
Yeah, it is kind of wild. Yeah, it is kind of wild. Time goes by quickly.
Okay. Well, we're about out of time. So if you want to get some gold or silver, or if you want to talk to them about it, I suggest you call and just say, here's my situation. I got this, I got that. Am I okay? And maybe they say, yeah, you're in good shape. Maybe they say, you need to do a little something. Maybe they say, no, you're a train wreck. Hopefully not. But it doesn't cost anything. It doesn't hurt. 800-200-GOLD. 800-200-GOLD or 800-200-4653. And just call them and see what they say. Especially if you got a 401 or 501 to 601. Or if you got an IRA, if you got something like, or even if you have a pile of money, especially if you get like a retirement, or if you get someone dies in your family, or you get an endowment, or you sell a big piece of property, you don't want to lose that money. I think we're in very, very volatile times, and this is a very good time to be having your feet on the ground, and gold and silver is a very good place to be. Your comment to close this up.
Yeah, education is key. I've always said this to people, get an education. When they go to Prophecy Club Gold, they can call in, or if they go to prophecyclubgold.com, they can submit their information. They'll get a wealth of, we have these ebooks, we have a library, ebooks on silver, ebooks on gold, ebooks about, IRAs, 401ks. You can come to our website, peruse around, and really, there's no pressure. Something we really believe in is helping people, because an informed investor is a better investor. So, Prophecy Club Gold, they can go there, they can call at 800-200-GOLD, like you said, which is 800-200-4653. Take it one step at a time, but I would definitely be proactive and not reactive, because the time to do this is now.
I'm smiling because I've got the final question. Okay, so when you were growing up, your dad gave you gold coins for your birthdays. And how about you to your children?
Absolutely. I carry on. Actually, it was my grandfather that gave me the coins. And then my dad carried on the tradition, and I carry on the tradition for my kids today.
So you come from a long line of very blessed people.
Well, I come from a very hardworking middle-class family. My father didn't make his fortunes till much later in his life. And, growing up as a kid in England as a child, he was actually a black cab driver. Those black cabs that drive.
Oh, yeah. Well, thank you for being on. We'll have to have, matter of fact, we're talking about trying to get you on again with a different topic tomorrow. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you for being on. We'll have you back again soon, probably tomorrow.
Thank you, Stan. God bless.